Hey guys, so today I have swatches of the Gamer Girls collection from Frenzy Polish. Frenzy Polish is a fairly new indie brand. I think this is their second or third collection. There are 12 polishes in this collection. They are available right now, so this video might be a little bit long because this is a really large collection. I will link Frenzy Polish down below where you guys can check these out, and I will get into the swatches. The first polish is called GG, or Good Game, and this is a kind of pearly, almost white crelly base with, there is silver shimmer, there's some slight like silver flakies, there are some like iridescent flakies, the whole thing has kind of a purpley flash to it. There's a lot going on in this polish. So here's one coat. This one covers pretty well on the first coat. It is going to need at least one more though, because it's a little bit sheer and just a tiny bit uneven. It's actually not as streaky as I would imagine a polish like this to be. The formula on this one is really good, really easy to apply. It feels just a tiny bit almost on the gritty side just because of the shimmer and stuff that's in there, but it doesn't really affect the application at all. So there is one coat of GG, or Good Game. I'm going to let that dry and come back for a second coat. So here is two coats. This one covers almost completely in two coats, just a little bit of gaps, I guess, uneven spots. So it is going to need one more. This is one of those polishes that needs to be completely dry before you add your second coat, or you will be layering coat after coat after coat and it will never even out. So there is two coats of GG, or Good Game. I'm going to let that dry and come back for a third coat. So here's three coats. I'm trying really hard not to repeat the names of the polishes over and over and over again in the videos. When I film these videos, sometimes 30 or more minutes can go by from the time I say it once to the time I say it the next time, but I forget when I'm editing that they're going to be back to back once I actually get that video edited down. So now that I spent the whole third coat talking about something other than the polish, this one covers completely in three coats, and it does dry just a tiny bit dull, so you will want a top coat to help it sparkle. So there is three coats of GG, or Good Game. The next polish is called Epic, and this is a deeper kind of like raspberry, I feel like it's raspberry with a little bit more purple in it, crelly base with multi-chrome flakies in it, and then there's some micro shimmer in there as well. I see kind of a blue flash, and I see some pink kind of sparkling at me too. So here's one coat. This one covers actually really well on the first coat. It is going to need a second, but it does cover pretty evenly. I don't have any problem getting any of the flakies out either. The formula on this one is really good. I feel like it's really smooth, it's really easy to apply, like I always say, but this is even smoother and easier than the last one. So there is one coat of Epic. I'm going to let that dry and come back for a second coat. So here is two coats. This one covers completely in two coats. I think depending on your application, if you do really, really thin coats, you might need three to cover your nail line, but I don't think that's going to happen. Again, great formula, really easy to apply. I get plenty of flakies out without having to manipulate them to get them placed on the nail or having to swirl them out of the bottle. Really, really good distribution. So there is two coats of Epic. So the next polish is called AFK, or Away from Keyboard, and this is a neon yellow crelly base. There's kind of like a gold shimmer running throughout it as well, and then there are some small glitters. I see some like green squares. There are some multi-chrome flakies in here, just various small glitters and shimmers. And I really like that fox. So I am layering this one over OPI's Alpine Snow. I had, and I did my swatch pictures, I tried to wear this one on its own, and I still had a visible nail line after three coats, so I did choose to do this one over white. It is going to be shown over white in my pictures as well. So here's one coat. So you can see that neon really pops over the white base. It applies very evenly over the white. It looks great on one coat, but I think I am going to do two over the white just to deepen the yellow just a little bit more. Formula is really good, very easy to apply. So there is one coat of AFK, or Away from Keyboard. I'm going to let that dry and come back for a second coat. So here is two coats. Two coats does deepen the yellow color a little bit, but I don't know if it's enough to actually need to because it did apply really evenly on one. And I did darken my camera settings a little bit so you can see the yellow a bit more because it is a very fluorescent neon yellow. So there is two coats of AFK, or Away from Keyboard. So the next polish is, I have some trouble with this one. I don't do a lot of online gaming, So whenever I've seen owned or own as PWN, I've always assumed that it's still pronounced like own, that you just type it with a P because it's funny. So I think this is, how I would say it, is owned by a girl, but it might be pwned by a girl. I still like just saying it as owned better. But this is a kind of medium pink color. It's a little bit on the hot pink side with a few different colors of shimmer in there. I see some gold, some silver, some pink, and some blue. So here's one coat. This one actually covers really well on the first coat. I think it's probably only going to need 2. You can just see a little bit of my nail line, and there might be a tiny bit of unevenness. Again, great formula, really smooth, really easy to apply. This doesn't want to run or pool at all either. So there is one coat of Owned by a Girl. I'm going to let that dry and come back for a second coat. So here's 2 coats. This one covers almost completely on 2 coats. I can still see my nail line a tiny bit, but I don't think it's enough to justify a 3rd coat, because you really have to know it's there. This one also dried a little bit dull, so you will want a good top coat with it. So there is 2 coats of Owned by a Girl. So the next polish is called OOM, or Out of Mana, and this is a kind of periwinkly blue with a ton of silvery, gold, pinky, purple shimmer. There's quite a few in there. It's really showing up a lot of the silver and a little bit of the pink on camera, but if I kind of turn it this way towards myself and look at it, all I see is like blue and gold. So it's a really unique polish. So here is one coat. This one is a little bit sheer and a little bit uneven on the first coat, so it is going to need at least one more. The formula on this is really good though. It's smooth, it's easy to apply, it doesn't want to run or pool. I'm having to thin it out just a little bit. So there is one coat of OOM, or Out of Mana. I'm going to let that dry and come back for a second coat. So here's 2 coats. This one covers almost completely on the second coat. It's just a little bit uneven still, so I'm going to do a 3rd. Again, the formula on this is really easy to apply, and the shimmer translates really well as well. So there is 2 coats of OOM, or Out of Mana. I'm going to let that dry and come back for a 3rd coat. So here is 3 coats. 3 coats covers completely. This one also does dry a little bit dull, so you will want a good top coat. That's going to help all that shimmer really stand out too. So there is 3 coats of OOM, or Out of Mana. The next polish is called Lagfest, and this is a gray curly base, but it's kind of like in between a gray and like a taupey purple. It has this blue to purple shimmer in it, and then it also has pink and blue, a couple different shades of pink, and then there's a mix of holographic and metallic glitters in there as well, and I also see some gray hexes. So here's one coat. This one covers pretty well on the first coat. I get a lot of glitter out. I don't have to fish or swirl for any of the glitters. I think there are some large gray hexes, but I haven't gotten any of those out yet. The formula is really good, really easy to apply. I don't find myself having to manipulate or move the glitters around too much. So there is one coat of Lagfest. I'm going to let that dry and come back for a second coat. So here's 2 coats. This one covers completely in 2 coats, and I did get one of those large gray hexes out just now. Again, I'm having to do no fishing, no swirling, haven't had the bottle upside down, all the glitter is coming out really easily. There's not anything too chunky in here, so I guess it's not like that big of a surprise, but it is nice. So there is 2 coats of Lagfest. You will want a good top coat with this one because the base is going to dry down a little bit smaller than the glitters, and to make everything look like one piece and to smooth it out, you will want to top coat it. So the next polish is called More Pew Pew, Less QQ. It's actually showing up really dull on camera. It's not color accurate at all. I'm hoping I can get it color accurate in the pictures. It's more of a slightly yellowy green hollow, but it's showing up a little more muted on camera. This is supposed to be a brown to green thermal holographic. It's just green in the bottle for me, and it really is just green on my nails. It changed to like a slightly darker green when I dipped it into colder water, but it was just barely noticeable. So I actually didn't even realize this was a thermal until I went back and read the sheet after I had done my swatches. This is it has some linear reflect to it, but it is more of a scattered hollow. So here's one coat. This one is a bit sheer on the first coat, but it does cover evenly. I think it's going to build up well though. The formula on this one, like the other ones, very smooth, very easy to apply. This one might be easier than most of them actually. So there is one coat of more Pew Pew, less QQ. I'm gonna let that dry and come back for a second coat. So here is 2 coats. This one does build up really well to cover completely in 2 coats. I am doing a little bit thicker of a second coat though, just to make sure that it does cover completely. This one also dried really, really fast, but it did dry a little bit dull. There were some gaps kind of in between the holographic particles, which is basically just micro glitter, so you will want a good top coat. So there is 2 coats of more Pew Pew, less QQ. The next polish is called LAN Party, or LAN Party, and this is a clear-based glitter topper with some silver holographic glitter. There is pink, blue, green, a couple different shades of pink, orange, and yellow matte hex glitters in various sizes, and then a few yellow matte stars. And there's also some pink and green and blue micro glitters in here as well. And I'm layering this one over Model's Own Turquoise Sea, which is showing up quite a bit more vibrant and intense on camera than it actually is. I actually wish it was that color. So here's one coat. I do have to do a little bit of swirling and fishing to get some of these larger glitters out, and I do have to manipulate them a little bit on the nail. There are some smaller pink micro glitters in here which help it look evenly covered even if you don't get a lot of the larger hexes in one spot, so I do really like that. And the glitter to base ratio is really nice on this too. So there is one coat of LAN Party. So the next polish is called /Ragequit, or just Rage Quit. This is one of, there's cat hair, this is one of the more unique polishes that I think I've actually ever seen. This is in a dark brown jelly base, or maybe it's just black and I'm crazy. It looks dark brown to me. It has a strong kind of greeny blue shimmer to it. There is a ton of very fiery red metallic glitters in here, as well as looks like some purple, green, and gold multi-chrome flakies. It's just a very, very unique polish. And I do have some staining from that Model's Own polish as well that I forgot that stained, or else I would have picked a different one. So here's one coat. This one actually covers really well on the first coat. It is going to need a second just to continue to build up that dark color and make those glitters stand out, but it is pretty even. This has a really good formula. This one is a little bit, you can kind of feel the glitter chunks in this one a little bit more than you could in any of the other ones, but it doesn't make it hard to apply. You just definitely, you're aware of them. Sometimes you have to kind of like knock them back from the end of your nail like that. So there is one coat of Rage Quit. I'm going to let that dry and come back for a second coat. So here is 2 coats. The second coat really darkens the color up enough to make all of the glitters stand out really well. This one did dry pretty fast. It also dried a little bit textured, so you will want a good top coat for this one as well. So there is 2 coats of Rage Quit. So the next polish is called Wanna Roleplay, and this is a tealy blue kind of to silver thermal holographic. This has about the same, I feel like this one is a little bit more linear than this one, which was more Pew Pew, less QQ. It just feels like the particles are a little bit smaller and a little bit closer together. So here's one coat. This one is a bit sheer on the first coat, but it does apply evenly. It's not streaky or anything. I think it's going to build up well, though, if I remember correctly, just like the green one did. The formula on this is really good, really smooth, really easy to apply. So there is one coat of Wanna Roleplay. I'm going to let that dry and come back for a second coat. So here's 2 coats. This one does build up pretty well, but it's not completely opaque on 2 coats. I can still see my nail line a little bit, so I am going to do a third. This polish did dry really fast, though. So there is 2 coats of Wanna Roleplay. I'm going to let that dry and come back for a third coat. So here is 3 coats. So this one covers completely on 3 coats. So you can see here really the difference between the warm color and the cool color. You can kind of see it changing a little bit. So there is 3 coats of Wanna Roleplay. So the next polish is called Fatality, and this is a deep kind of chocolatey brown holographic. This has some sparks of kind of red and purple, smaller metallic glitters in there as well, but for the most part it is that kind of chocolatey brown hollow. So here's one coat. This one covers really well on the first coat. It's still a little bit sheer and a little bit too light in color, so I am going to do a second. Just like the others in this collection, this is really smooth, really easy to apply. So there is one coat of Fatality. I'm going to let that dry and come back for a second coat. So here is 2 coats. So this one covers completely in 2 coats, and it, where are my words? It deepens the color quite a bit as well. Again, really great formula. This one also dries really fast like the other hollows did, but it does dry a little bit dull, so you will want a good top coat. So there is 2 coats of Fatality. And the last polish is called Blue Screen of Death, and this is a blue holographic micro glitter in a slightly blue tinted jelly base. So here is 1 coat of Blue Screen of Death. This one covers pretty well on the first coat, but it is going to need at least 1 more. The formula on this is consistent with the rest of the collection. They were all very, very easy to apply. Perfect consistency, really. They weren't too thick or too thin. They didn't run or pool. So there is 1 coat of Blue Screen of Death. I'm going to let that dry and come back for a second coat. So here's 2 coats. This one covers completely on 2 coats, and it does deepen the color a little bit as well. This one also dried pretty fast, but it does dry textured because it does have a lot of micro glitter in it, even though it applies really smoothly. It's not thick like a micro glitter usually is, but it still does dry textured, so you will want a good top coat. So there is 2 coats of Blue Screen of Death. So my 2 favorites in this collection are Blue Screen of Death because I love the blue micro glitter and it applied really, really smoothly. It didn't feel like a micro glitter. I really liked this one a lot. It does remove like a micro glitter, so it is a little bit more difficult to remove, but it just feels really good going onto the nails, and it was opaque in 2 coats. The other one that I really liked is AFK. I love neon yellow polishes, and I really, really like this bright fluorescent neon yellow with the flakies and the shimmer and the glitter mixed in. You see this with like regular yellows, but you don't see it a lot with fluorescent neon eye-searing yellows. So I've seen a couple of these this year, but I do really, really like these. So that is the Gamer Girls collection from Frenzy Polish. I will link Frenzy Polish down below where you guys can check these out. They are available right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you later.